So here's our agenda. We're going to talk about 8 things today. There's 8 steps, what I call the success path to creating a sale-ready company. Now, sale-ready does not mean you are getting ready to sell your company. Too many people believe that's true. Sale-ready only means somebody else wants to own your company. Doesn't mean you're ready to sell it. So we're going to talk about what that means. So we're going to start with what you need, what's next in your life, which is probably the most important question we have to answer. What's the business worth? How do you find what the value of a business is worth? Then we're going to talk about creating the sustainable business, because before you get to a sale-ready company, you must have a sustainable business, which is step 4. Step 5 is trying to figure out who's going to buy the darn thing, because although there's probably 15 or 20 ways of transitioning out of a business, there's usually only 1, 2, or 3 that are any good for you. So you don't need to learn all 12 or 15 methods of leaving your business. You just need to know what is effective for me and what should I focus on. Then we're going to talk about your key people, because we're going to learn that buyers don't really want you or the business owner or your clients. They want your systems and management team. And if I'm going to talk about protecting the asset, many smaller businesses, especially in this industry, are sold with seller financing. How do you make sure you get paid? And then finally, investing the proceeds, which is not a problem for folks in this room, but is a big problem for people who own private businesses and they move from running the business to being investors. It's a real challenge. So let's get started. So, first problem. Now, this is not true for folks in this room. The wealth management business is kind of an unusual one that is so profitable that once you get to a certain size, you probably could sell your business and ride off into the sunset if you have over $500 million in assets under management. Under that, it would probably be a challenge. So let's talk about why this is true. I have a thing we call the 4 boxes of financial independence. And the first box is your business. So most folks I know, and this is the biggest mistake I see financial planners make when they work with business owners in helping them do some retirement planning, is that they take the value of the business that the owner says it's worth and they run with it. Can't do that. Most business owners I know overvalue their business by somewhere between 3 and 4 times. So if the business is worth $1 million, they think it's worth $3 to $4 million. Now, there's a rational reason behind that, and the reason is they want to be able to match their lifestyle they had with the business after the business. Make sense? So they think that someone's going to pay them all the money they need so they can have their needs met. I don't want to surprise you, but that's not how buyers think. Buyers actually want to get a good deal for themselves. So let's give you an example. Let's say my business is worth $1 million. And I'm going to sell it. What happens after I sell the business? I've got taxes that have to be paid. I have accounting fees that have to be paid. I have legal fees that have to be paid. And I probably have an M&A fee for someone who sold my business to pay them too. At the very least, they're going to lose 40%. So let's run with that. I've got my $1 million business. I lost $400,000 of taxes and fees. I'm left with $600,000. That's assuming I'm making $200,000 a year. 5 times earning, $1 million. Pretty nice business. But there's a problem with that, isn't there? If I take $60,000 and we use the 4% rule, and I know there's lots of arguments about whether it's good or not, but let's just pretend that it works. I get to spend $24,000 a year. Now, do you think that business owner who's been making $200,000 a year for 20 or 30 years is going to be happy living on $24,000 a year? Right, well, that's another piece we get to. Yeah, but you're absolutely correct. The answer to that is no, they're not going to be happy. So the next thing I do is say, okay, well, let's take a look at your qualified plan. Now, the next thing I know is that most private business owners terribly underfund their qualified plan. They don't do nearly what they could do, especially when there's less than 25 employees. If you have less than 25 employees, I go to somebody and I say, the question I ask them is, it isn't, here's how much you can save. I say, there's no rules. How much do you want to save? Because we can find a plan that's going to work for you up to about $300,000 a year. And I've never had somebody tell me, I want to save $300,000 a year in my qualified plan. But we can get there if we need to. So if I do that, and I get to $3 million, which is a possible thing to do, $2 or $3 million in the plan, now I'm talking about $120,000, $90,000 a year. I'm getting closer to my 200, but I'm not there yet. Then I have my third box, which is rental real estate. It's the place they operate their business from. Now, my specialty is blue-collar private businesses. That's where I come from, and that's what I understand really well. Most of those folks own the building they operate in. That often is their most important asset in retirement. And the reason? They're not going from cash flow to investment. They're staying in cash flow if they keep the building. So if I have a building worth $1 million, I'm probably going to get $80,000 in rent. If I'm 55, 60 years old, I left the business, I bought the building when I was 40, building is paid off. I do a triple net lease with my new owner for the business. I now have enough money to retire. So this little tool, we've all had conversations with business owners and say, hey, you need to diversify your business for safety. Business owners don't buy that. When I use that, it gets their attention because it shows them if they ever want to leave their business, they have to do things besides make their business valuable. Now, we'll also work on making the business more valuable, but that's not the only thing.